The in-game off-screen access menu is a gaze, touch, voice and mouse controllable menu that enables us to change many parameters of an app while an app is running. Let's take a look and see how that works. To call up the menu whilst in an app, we have many options to do so. We can simply gaze down to the bottom right of the screen to call up the menu, as well as move the mouse down to the bottom right of the screen. And if you're using a touchscreen device, you can touch the bottom right hand corner of the screen in order to call up the menu. We can also use speech, open menu, and close menu, as well as the keyboard. To use the keyboard, use the F7 key to toggle the menu on and off. But please note, when using the F7 key to toggle the menu on and off, this becomes the only way to access the menu from that point on during running the app. If you wish to reset it, you'll need to restart the app, at which point the menu will become gaze controllable again. With the menu open, we can see the various options available, and as you can see, when I look at each menu item, you can see the dwell bar going up. So nothing's being selected until I fully dwell on an option, such as gaze pause. Now we have gaze deactivated temporarily. Simply just need to gaze back at the menu to reactivate it. We can set the dwell time by gazing, and we can affect the actual dwell time itself by using gaze or mouse or touch. We can even use speech, up and down. Close menu. We can also bring up the dwell time just by calling out dwell time, like that. Close menu. Dwell time. Then we have the main options panel here, where we can change the cursor settings, as well as the relationship between gaze and switch, and the various different switch modes that are available. We can also call up this options panel by calling out Open Settings. Here we can turn the cursor off. As you can see now, we have no cursor, only the gaze effect moving around the menu there. And we can turn it back on by gazing at another one. We can also turn the cursor off by calling out Toggle Cursor. Toggle Cursor. You see the cursor has now disappeared, and turn it back on. Toggle cursor. There it is. The speech commands have to be fairly clear and concise. If you're finding that it's not working for you, then just try speaking out again, and you'll get it. You can also change the cursor style, so we can cycle through the cursors like this. Cursor 1. Cursor 2, Cursor 3, Cursor 4, Cursor 5, Cursor 1. And as I say, here we can change the relationship between gaze and switch. This first option activates gaze only and deactivates any switches. So with objects in the screen, like the large bubble objects here, only gaze will interact with them. Any pressing of switches like this will do nothing. Open Settings. The second option is gaze on switch. Now this option is affecting how we interact with objects with gaze. So with objects in the screen, gazing or dwelling on an object will not interact with it until a switch is pressed. However, you must be gazing over the object itself when the switch is pressed in order to activate it, like this. Open settings. The third option is gaze and separate switch, and this will typically be the default switch mode and gaze mode for most apps. This enables us to interact freely with objects using gaze or switch independently, like this. Open settings. Then onto the switch modes. We have select and interact. With select and interact activated, any multiple objects on the screen can be navigated through using space and interacted with using return. Something like this. Open settings. The second mode here is a single switch activation mode, and it is a sequential mode, meaning that objects in the screen, when activated with a switch, will activate in the order that they were spawned. So in other words, in sequential order. Open settings. Third option, another single switch mode, and this one activates objects at random. So if we have multiple objects in the screen, pressing switch will randomly interact with them. So both randomly in sequential, or should I say in a random order, as well as a random amount of objects at a time. Open settings. And the last option is the select all option. Another single switch mode. However, in this instance, any number of objects that are on the screen at any one time can be interacted with all at once using a single press of a switch. And toggle the menu back on. So that leaves us with only the final menu item, which is the exit button down at the bottom there. So again, we can dwell on this button to exit out of the app, or we can press the escape button on the keyboard to do the same thing. Alternatively, we can use the voice command, exit app. And that takes us nicely back to the home screen.